Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Angel. I chose to do Project 2 on Erikson's stages of psychosocial development, which is in Chapter 3, Social, Moral, and Emotional Development. Erikson's theory of psychosocial development has 8 distinct stages. Erikson assumes that there is a crisis that occurs at every stage of development, and these crises are of a psychosocial nature because they involve psychological needs of the individual conflicting with the needs of society. If one fails to successfully complete a stage, this can result in reduced ability to complete further stages, and therefore a more unhealthy personality and sense of self. I'm using the graphic of a ladder to begin my explanation of Erikson's stages of psychosocial development because for Erikson's theory, you have to successfully complete one stage to move on to the next stage, kind of like climbing a ladder. From the time the baby is born to about 18 months is when Erikson's first psychosocial crisis occurs. This crisis is one of trust versus mistrust. During this stage, the infant is uncertain about the world in which they live. To resolve these feelings of uncertainty, the infant looks toward their primary caregiver for stability and consistency of care. Success in this stage will lead to a virtue of hope. Failing to acquire the virtue of hope will lead to development of fear. The second of Erikson's psychosocial crises is autonomy versus shame. Between the ages of 18 months and 3 years, children begin to assert their independence. The child is discovering that he or she has many skills and abilities. Such skills illustrate the child's growing sense of autonomy. It is critical that the parents allow their children to explore the limits of their abilities with an encouraging environment which is tolerant of failure. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of will. The third of Erikson's psychosocial crises is initiative versus guilt. From the age of 3 to 5, children assert themselves more frequently. Children begin to plan activities, make up games, and initiate activities with others. If given this opportunity, children develop a sense of initiative and feel secure in their ability to lead others and make decisions. Conversely, if this tendency is suppressed, either through criticism or control, children develop a sense of guilt. They may feel a nuisance to others and therefore will remain followers, lacking self-initiative. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of purpose. A healthy balance between initiative and guilt is very important. The fourth of Erikson's psychosocial crises is industry versus inferiority. Children ages 5 to 12 years are at a stage where the child's peer group will gain greater significance and become a major source of the child's self-esteem. If children are encouraged and reinforced for their initiative, they begin to feel industrious and feel confident in their ability to achieve goals. If the child cannot develop the specific skill they feel society is demanding, then they may develop a sense of inferiority. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of competence. The fifth of Erikson's psychosocial crises is ego identity versus role confusion. During adolescence, ages 12 to 18 years, the transition from childhood to adulthood is most important. This is a major stage of development where the child has to learn the roles he or she will occupy as an adult. It is during this stage that the adolescent will re-examine his identity and try to find out exactly who he or she is. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of fidelity. The sixth stage of Erikson's psychosocial crises is intimacy versus isolation. Occurring in young adulthood, ages 18 to 40 years, we begin to share ourselves more intimately with others. Successful completion of this stage can lead to comfortable relationships and a sense of commitment, safety, and care within a relationship. Avoiding intimacy, fearing commitment, in relationships can lead to isolation, loneliness, and sometimes depression. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of love. The seventh of Erikson's psychosocial crises is generativity versus stagnation. During middle adulthood, ages 40 to 65 years old, we establish our careers, settle down within a relationship, begin our own families, and develop a sense of being a part of the bigger picture. We give back to society through raising our children, being productive at work, and becoming involved in community activities and organizations. Failing to achieve these objectives, we become stagnant and feel unproductive. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of care. The eighth and final of Erikson's psychosocial crises is ego integrity versus despair. If we see our lives as unproductive, feel guilt about the past, or feel that we did not accomplish our life goals, we become dissatisfied with life and develop despair, often leading to depression and hopelessness. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of wisdom. Wisdom enables a person to look back on their life with a sense of closure and completeness, and also accept death without fear. How teachers can use the theory of psychosocial development in the classroom. At the preschool level, teachers want to focus on their students developing a personality. Here are some classroom examples, 3 examples that can be incorporated at the preschool level. 1. Utilize physical activity to teach fairness and sportsmanship. 2. When children experiment, they should not be punished for trying something that may turn out differently than the teacher had originally planned. 3. Find out what students are interested in and create projects that incorporate their area of interest. Teachers should focus on achievement and peer relationships at the elementary level. Here are some classroom examples that can be incorporated at the elementary level. Number 1, let students know that striving for perfection is not as important as learning from mistakes. Teach them to hold their head high and move forward. Number 2, encourage children to help students who may be having trouble socially or academically. Never allow any child to make fun of or bully another child. Number 3, discuss and post classroom rules. Make sure to include students in the decision-making process when discussing rules. During students' middle and high school years, building identity and self-esteem should be a part of a teacher's focus. Here are some classroom examples at the middle school and high school levels. Number 1, incorporate life skills into lessons planning to increase confidence and self-sufficiency. Number 2, incorporate guest speakers and curriculum activities from as many areas as possible to expose students to many career choices. Number 3, encourage students to focus on their strengths and acknowledge them when they exhibit work that incorporates these strengths.